The little blue car that did. The little blue car that did sat in the dusty car park. It was hot, and the little blue car that did was frightened. The big black cruiser next to the little blue car that did looked down on his new neighbour. "Where are you going?" said the big black cruiser as it looked down its bonnet at the little blue car that did. "Brisbane," said the little blue car that did, trying to sound grown up. "Ah, Brisbane," said the big black cruiser. "I'm going there too. Maybe we'll end up on the same truck." And so it was that the little blue car that did and the big black cruiser were loaded onto the grumpy old road train later that day. "Watch it," said the grumpy old road train as the little blue car that did was driven up the ramp onto the top, right at the front, so she could see forever. The little blue car that did had never been this high before. She felt giddy at first, and then she felt a bump from behind and nearly fell off. "Sorry," said the big black cruiser, which had been put right behind the little blue car that did on the top. "This driver is so rough." "Stop complaining," said the grumpy old road train. "I've got to put up with him all the way to Brisbane." So the little blue car that did said nothing for a long time, but just watched as the other cars were loaded up, and then the grumpy old road train started up with a cough. They were moving. The little blue car that did watched as the suburbs of Darwin and Palmerston went by. From behind she heard a sob and just had enough room to see a tear fall from the headlight of the big black cruiser. "What's the matter?" said the little blue car that did, surprised that such a big car would be crying. "I'm sorry," said the big black cruiser. "I always get sentimental when I leave. Just a big pussy, I guess." It started to get dark, and the grumpy old road train switched on its lights. The little blue car that did was excited to see the countryside go past. If they weren't locked, she would have opened her doors on both sides and gone whee. After a while, the little blue car that did started to get sleepy, and soon was fast asleep as the grumpy old road train continued to huff and puff its way down the highway. In the morning, when the little blue car that did woke up, all she could see was water. "Where did all this water come from?" said the little blue car that did, more to herself than anyone else. "I was awake all night," said the big black cruiser, "and it didn't rain." "Rains a lot down here this time of the year," said the grumpy old road train. "Done this trip lots of times. Lots of water around though. I hope Smelly Britches, who's driving, knows what he's doing." The grumpy old road train was going real slow now, and the water seemed to get very close to the road. "Hey, blue car up there, you're going to have to be my lookout. Tell me if the road is okay." The little blue car that did watched very closely after that. The water was lapping at the side of the road. All the little blue car that did could see was water on both sides of the road. Then she started to see little bits of road that had fallen into the water. "Uh-oh, could be trouble here," said the grumpy old road train when he was told. "Smelly Britches had better be careful." Soon the water covered the whole road, and the only way they could see where to go was to drive between the line of posts on either side of the road. The little blue car that did started to get scared. All of a sudden, the grumpy old road train seemed to lean over sideways, and the little blue car that did almost fell off. "Whoa!" she shouted as she could feel herself slipping. Then the grumpy old road train got upright again. "There's clear road ahead," said the little blue car that did. "Keep going." The grumpy old road train did keep going, ever so slowly. "You'd better be right," said the grumpy old road train, grumpily. In a little while the water was gone from the road, and a little while longer was nowhere to be seen. Everybody felt relieved. The little blue car that did saw lots of other things on that trip. Speedy cars, rude cars, farty old buses. Phew, did they smell. And lots of trees. Soon all she could see was lots of houses and tall buildings. "This is Brisbane," said the big black cruiser. "Lots of rude cars here. You feel like squashing them. We'll be at the airport soon." "Why are we going to the airport?" said the little blue car that did. "Because that's where Verity is going to meet you. Didn't you listen when she said goodbye?" "No, I was too scared," said the little blue car that did. "When will she get here?" "In a few weeks." "A few weeks," said the little blue car that did, as she looked around at the planes coming in and taking off. "What will I do for a couple of weeks?" "I'll be here too," said the big black cruiser. "My owner won't be here for 3 weeks." Soon the grumpy old road train pulled into a big yard with lots of other sad and lonely looking cars sitting in long rows. "By the way, thanks for helping me out back there," said the grumpy old road train when he finally stopped. "That's all right," said the little blue car that did, surprised. But the grumpy old road train went back to being grumpy when it came time to unload. "Not that way. Over there. Watch what you're doing. Good riddance." The little blue car that did found a spot under a tree right next to the big black cruiser, and listens while the big black cruiser tells stories about crocodiles and giant sand dunes and desert sunsets. The little blue car that did found a lifelong friend in the big black cruiser. But today, what the little blue car that did wants most of all is for Verity to arrive. Each day she sits and watches all the big silver birds that fly in from far away, and hopes that one of them will be carrying Verity, so she can be free again. Until then, she is waiting, waiting, waiting.